Good morning, my beautiful friends. Happy awesome Saturday to you. It is indeed awesome Saturday. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning, Shauna. Yeah, it is the Sabbath. It is awesome Saturday. Today is the day that we set aside all of our ideas of what we should be doing, and we choose instead to focus on who we are being. We focus instead on what's in front of us. We focus instead on the here and the now. And so I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. Shauna, yes, indeed. You need to get some ass. I need to get some ass too. This is the awesome Saturday service. So indeed, we're going to be continuing our series on magic words. If you recall from the last couple weeks that I've done this, magic words are words that are very small, which are all over our vocabulary. We've done words like yes and yet. We've done words like is. We've done words like let. These are tiny little words, one syllable each, and yet they have such tremendous power. Last week I did but, and but is such a is such a prevalent word even in my vocabulary. I have red flags every single time I say it. It lights something off in my brain because but is a word that cancels everything that comes before it. And yet even though I know this stuff, these vocal patterns still show up in my life. And so magic words is about understanding that these words exist and becoming more cognizant of them when we say them. So today we are talking about the word now. Now is the only time that there is. The time is now. Now the awesome service happens at 11 a.m., or the Awesome Saturday service happens at 11 a.m. on Saturday. However, every single time that the Awesome Saturday service finally does arrive, the time when it arrives is now. The time when I speak these words is now. The time when we're listening to these things is now. The time when we share this time together is now. Though it also happens in the abstract at 11 a.m. on Saturday, it happens now. It's always happening now. Now is the only time that there is. When I was speaking about it originally and introducing the topic, the time was now. And now, when I'm expanding on the topic, the time is still now. And so we talk about time as if it's linear, as if one thing happens, then another thing happens, then another thing happens. Like life happens in a line, and then we can follow that line from point A to point B. And sure, kind of in the abstract, it works that way. It doesn't work that way because that's how we actually experience it. It works that way because that's how we remember it. We look back in our life and we say, oh, I was born and then all this other stuff happened and now here I am. But spirit doesn't work in a line. God doesn't work in a line. God works through presence. And the only point where eternity touches our lives is right here and right now. The only time that we can partake of the presence of God is right here and right now. The only time when we have any power whatsoever to do anything, to affect any change, to manifest any reality is here and now. And so now becomes, as I like to call it, the vanishing point of power. So if you'd imagine that you are on a parallel line with and you are on a line in this at your life, and everything else that you desire in life is also on a parallel line. It's right next to you. It's a parallel line. If we follow these parallel lines all the way out into infinity, eventually they're going to touch each other. Eventually, even though they're parallel, eventually they're going to come to what's called the vanishing point. Parallel lines always appear to come together at the horizon, and that horizon is now. That is the time horizon of where we always are living. Now is the moment when we have real leverage. So the past has already been played out. We can study the past. We can't shape the past. And oftentimes when we do study the past, we're studying it with 2020 hindsight. Which makes it really easy to misinterpret, because when we're living in the now, we don't have benefit of 2020 hindsight. We make choices not knowing how the future is going to play out. However, when we look at the past, we say, oh, it's so obvious. Why did I make this choice? Why did I choose left when I should have chosen right? It's I remember I was watching I think it was like Scary Movie or something. It was a parody of Scary Movies, and this they were making fun of the scene where the girl in her underwear is running away from the psycho killer, and of course, she runs up and there's this big sign and it says safety to the left, and then it says uncertain death to the right, and she looks and she looks and she looks, and then she runs towards certain death, because that's exactly what they do in these horror movies. But of course, as the observer of the horror movie, we of course already know that there is certain death that awaits these people, so we're screaming at the screen like, no, go toward the safety, while they make the choice that is so frustrating to us as the viewer. Of course, we know that, just by watching this movie, we know, of course, that bad things are going to happen to these people in the movie. That's one of the reasons that people enjoy that genre of film. The fact is, though, that in our own lives, we tend to think of everything that happened to us. We're bringing it in with 2020 hindsight. Like, we see everything that happened much more clearly than when we see it in this now moment. So we create narratives where they don't exist. And the reason that we create these narratives is because it brings us comfort, because understanding brings us comfort. Having a story to explain what happened brings us comfort. I ate lunch and I wasn't hungry anymore. There's a cause and effect relationship there. I made this choice and it turned out well, so therefore I'm really smart. I bought that car, and that car has really lasted me a long time and continues to be reliable and wonderful, and it's paid off, and therefore I made a good choice. Or I had the opportunity to trade that car in, and then the engine blew up and I still had a payment on the car, and I made a bad choice. Now, both of these circumstances have happened to me in life. I've made good choices in vehicles. I also have had a vehicle that I had a payment on still when the engine blew up, and I had the opportunity to trade it in for something else. And if I could go back in time, I really would have done that. However, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that when I chose the best option that was available to me in the moment. So the past is something that we misinterpret because we tend to believe that these narratives are connected in our minds. Now, the future hasn't happened. So we can envision the future, we can imagine the future, we can worry about the future, we can dream about the future. We can't enter the future, because by the time the future arrives, it's dressed up as now. So we imagine futures that we don't want, and then we hamstring our now because we're living as if those futures are true. And I know that you've done it, and I know that I've done it too. It's called worry. It's one of the foremost ways that we miscreate, that we use our powers of creation for doing bad things to ourselves. We worry about the future. We say, oh, well, if I make this choice right now, then the future itself is going to be bad. If I eat lunch, I'm going to get fat. If I buy this car, then it's going to break down, and I'm going to have a car payment, and it's going to be awful. Terrible things are going to happen to me if I make this choice. And so we imagine futures that we don't actually want. And then we live as if those things are true. So therefore, we don't buy that car. We don't eat that lunch. And so it works the other way as well. Oftentimes, we can lose ourselves in dreaming and miss the opportunity to take the steps to create those dreams. The steps to create those dreams happens now. The actions necessary to make things happens now. We can dream all about it and talk all about it and vision all about it. And these things are valuable. It's wonderful to take some time to do that. However, when we do that at the expense of making choices now and living now and doing things now, then those dreams that we dream about will never come to pass. And we have to understand that dreaming is a good thing. Dreaming our lives away is a bad thing. So now is the only moment that we can touch. It's the only moment we can change. And it's the only moment that we can co-create and engage with. And we teach here at the Awesome Saturday service that life is art, and that the canvas of our lives is the present moment. We can't paint yesterday, and we can't paint tomorrow either. But now, right now, our hand holds the brush, and we can choose to paint as we please. And so, in our lives, we are pretty consistently doing time travel. We're doing time travel, it's just that we're not moving. Scientists debate as to whether or not time travel could possibly be real while they live in time travel. And yet, we spend so much of our lives elsewhere. We spend our lives in the future. We spend our lives in the past. We rewind and think about all the things that we regret. We fast forward and think about all the things that we're afraid of. We construct timelines, we construct patterns, we construct false stories. We do anything except remaining present. And when I think about when I think about my life and I think about all the stories that I've told about things that happened in the past, in my brain it's like one of those conspiracy theory like cork boards where somebody has pictures and string connecting them, and they have all these weird connections that they've made that would look to anybody else to be like the work of a schizophrenic. And yet we do this all the time in our own minds. We say, oh, well, this happened because that happened. And oh, here's a pattern in my life. So therefore, it's going to happen over and over again. This happened once. So of course, it's going to happen twice. This happened twice. It will surely happen a third time. And yet, while we do this, we are robbing ourselves of the present moment. We are going so deeply into the past or into the future that we are forgetting that we have tremendous power right now. Only this breath that we are breathing right now has ever been real. And so our mind exists as like a time machine. Our soul, on the other hand, is like a homing beacon. It always calls us back to where we are. It always calls us back to here and now, because here and now we have the ability to manifest change, and that is the thing that our soul desires the most. Here and now is the moment where we exert control, and that is the foremost desire of our soul. And so we tend to think that we have to plan or reflect or think ahead, like we have to live at least a little bit here and there in our in the past or in the future. And yes, we do. Reflection is useful. Obsession is not useful. Obsession, which is living in the past or the future too much, is not useful at all. It's good to dream. It's good to plan. It's good to reminisce and reflect. It's good to think about where we were at, so that we don't perpetuate the patterns that we used to that used to permeate and control our lives. However, when we start to obsess about it at the expense of being here now, then we are losing all the power that we have in our lives. And so being here now, as Ram Dass says, is how we dissolve the illusion of separation. The separation between mind and body, the separation between self and source. The present moment right now is when we remember that I was never apart from the divine. That we were never apart from the divine, and consequently always have access to that infinite creative power. Someday, fixin' to, as my friend Cash Matthews would say, he's like, oh, so many people have the fixin' to disease. They're fixing to do this. They're fixing to do that. Someday is a lie. Waiting to live is a trap. When we think, oh, I'll start when I'm ready, or I'll be happy when all this is over, or, well, I'll be free when I've earned it, these are all spiritual IOUs, and they're written to a future that never comes. So why are we writing IOUs to a future that never comes? Someday is a mirage. It looks real from a distance, and when we get there, when we get close to it, we realize it doesn't exist. It's not there. Every single someday that I have ever dreamed of has arrived dressed as today. It has always arrived now. Every someday that I've ever dreamed of, every dream that I've ever attained, every goal that I've ever worked toward and made happen, every one of the most secret desires of my soul that have ever come to pass in reality have always come now. They have never come in the past. They have never come in the future. They have always come now. They have always come today. They have always come in this moment. And so we don't need to become someone else in order to access the sacred. We just need to arrive at this moment. We just need to be here now. Every single future that we could possibly imagine, the good ones and the bad ones, the ones that we want and the ones that we don't want. Every single future that we could possibly imagine is born through the present. It happens now. So regret and worry are thieves of our time. So, I mean, neither regret nor worry can change anything. And neither being sad about the past nor scared about the future could possibly change anything. They just rob us of the moment that we do have. They rob us of this now. And regret tries to re-edit the past. Regret tries to go back to the past and say, oh, if only this was different, if only that was different, if only I had made a different choice, if only I had met you earlier, then nothing would have happened the way that it did happen. And worry tries to over control the future. Worry tries to say, well, this, if things continue the way they're going, then the future isn't going to be very bright. And so, therefore, I need to work on preserving what I have because the future isn't going to be as good as the present is. Both of them steal our presence. They steal our power and they steal our peace. And so, regret and worry are time thieves. If we imagine that our attention is a currency, and let me tell you, in the modern economy, our attention is a currency. Every thought that we spend on regret or worry is a thought that we could have invested into now. It's a thought that we could have invested into what we do desire instead of what we don't desire, whether it be in the past or in the future. So we don't heal in memory, and we don't evolve by having a theory about what's going to happen. We heal in presence and we evolve through practice. And practice only lives in the moment. We can only practice now. We can only be disciplined now. We can only choose intentionally now. Now isn't just a time, it's a threshold. It doesn't care who we were 5 minutes ago. Now it doesn't matter. Now doesn't care what we said on our resume. Now doesn't care who we used to be. It doesn't need a resume. It doesn't need a reputation. It doesn't ask for these things. It just says, what are you becoming in this step? What are you choosing in this breath? Because now is a portal. It's not a place, it's not a time, it's a state. It's a state of being. And every time we pay attention, we are now. And every single time that we think that there's a door in front of us, we realize that it doesn't have a key and it doesn't have a lock. That all we do is we open it up because we can open it up in the now. So we believe, Sabbatarians believe that the sacred isn't somewhere else. It's right here. And it's cloaked in the ordinary. It's cloaked in the everyday. I was watching a theologian talk about the parables that Jesus told. And this was actually this was a Charles Spurgeon sermon, actually, now that I think about it. So I was listening to some of the sermons of Charles Spurgeon, which if you're familiar at all with Christian theology, Charles Spurgeon is a very, very insightful Christian preacher. He preached at the London Tabernacle in the 1800s. But anyways, one of the things that he was talking about was just how ordinary the parables are. How at the time the various teachers of the religious law, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who still exist very much to this day, the Pharisees probably most importantly so, still exist to this very day in Orthodox Judaism. But he was talking about how their stories and their metaphors typically were very complex, and how when Jesus told a story in very simple terms. And the metaphor that he used, he said, when Jesus was talking about how precious that you are, he said, don't you know that the hairs on your head are all numbered? Jesus could have talked about the celestial cosmos. He could have talked about the creation of the universe, could have talked about the expansiveness of spirituality. And what did Jesus choose to talk about to make the point? Jesus said, the hairs on your head. Everybody has hairs on their head. Well, most of us have hairs on our head. And the fact of the matter is that we would neither count nor care to count the hairs on our head. And so that, it's just such an ordinary thing. So what Jesus' point was through that parable was that you are precious, so precious, in fact, that God, who created you, has numbered the very hairs on your head. That they have numbers. Who would bother to count or care to count the number of hairs on their head? Nobody would. No, I don't know how many hairs are on my head. The number is constantly changing. And yet here we are, cloaked in the ordinary. That's where our power is. So now is a temple, and our awareness of now is a prayer, and our willingness to be here and to be now is an offering. And so now is sacred ground. So this is it. Now is your chance. So don't wait to be yourself. Don't wait to forgive or to begin or to speak truth. Don't wait to make the changes. This moment is holy. This moment is already holy, and all we need to do is show up to it. Imagine that the divine is like a dance partner that's already been on the floor, that's just waiting for us to stop rehearsing and step in and dance. We need to face what needs facing now. We need to forgive who needs forgiving now. We need to love this moment like it's the only one that's guaranteed to us, because it is. Now is the time that it is. The time is now. Now. We don't have to wait for the right moment. The moment becomes right when we show up for it. And so we have to be here. We have to start here. We need to choose here because now is ready when we are. So now is a magic word, and the time is now. And so let's make sure that when that we use this word quite intentionally. Whenever whenever I'm doing a sales call and I am interested in getting somebody to make a decision, I always use the word now or the word today or the word like I always use these words in my in my closing lines because it refocuses the person that I'm talking to on the idea that now is when we manifest change. We don't manifest change later. We don't manifest change tomorrow. We don't manifest change yesterday. It happens now. So now is indeed sacred ground. Let's make sure that our nows are beautiful today. Saturday is the day when we stop doing and start being. When we refocus our lives on on being human beings and not human doings. When we set aside our past and we set aside our future and we just enjoy what is right now and right here. All right, so I want to say thank you guys so much for being at the awesome Saturday service. Now is such a fun one to do. I've been looking forward to this one. So yeah, now is indeed sacred ground, Shauna. Let's do awesome things now. So anyway, I will actually not be returning on Monday. I'm taking a week off of the wake up call. Daddy needs some sleep. I'm going to be taking a week off the wake up call, and I will still be posting up on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. I'll still be posting some empowering, positive stuff. I just don't want to have to wake up for it. So I will return. The next time y'all see me on the internet will be next awesome Saturday, the 24th, and then. But otherwise, I'm taking the next week off of the wake up call. It's going to be glorious to not have to get up at 8:30 in the morning if I don't if I don't want to, or if I had a rough night with Persephone. It'd be very nice to just be able to sleep through it and really just refill my cup. I've talked a lot about giving from our saucer and not from our cup. I feel like my cup is starting to get low, and so therefore it's time for it to be refilled. And taking a break off the wake up call for a week is going to be what it takes to help me to refill and continue to bring these messages over and over and over again for the foreseeable future. So let's have an awesome Saturday, my beautiful friends. Let's have a let's make sure that we are doing that we are being who we were born to be. I'll talk to y'all on next Saturday at 11 a.m. We'll come up with another awesome Saturday service. Until then, I love you. I care about you. I appreciate you. I believe in you. And I know that now is the time when you can manifest literally any change. So it doesn't matter who you were 5 minutes ago. It doesn't matter who you were when we started listening to this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who that you were worried that you would be tomorrow. Fact is that now has tremendous power. So let's get on being here now. I'll talk to y'all on next Saturday at 11 a.m. and then I'll be engaging a little bit during the week with the posts I make at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday about the Monday through Friday about the wake up call. But until then, I love you. I care about you. I appreciate you. I think you're amazing, and I will talk to y'all. I talk to y'all hopefully in person. I'll probably see some of you guys over the week, but on 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. Saturday is the next time I hop on the internet. So talk to y'all in a week on the internet. Until then, aloha from paradise. Happy, awesome Saturday.